A chilly but sunny late November day here in Cincinnati. The two head coaches, Dennis Allen, who's the youngest head coach in the NFL at the age of 40, spent time learning the ropes under John Fox and Sean Payton. And on the other sideline, Marvin Lewis signed a contract extension this past summer. He's taken Cincinnati to the postseason in 2 of the last 3 seasons, the most wins in Bengals franchise history. Cincinnati won the toss. They've deferred to the second half, so the Raiders will have the football to start the game. Mike Nugent to kick it away to Coy Francis, standing back in the end zone. 27th regular season meeting between these two teams, and we are underway. Francis at the goal line. And brings it out to just past the 20. The reception for Carson Palmer. Leads the AFC with over 3,000 yards passing, coming back to the stadium where he led the Bengals for so many years. 2 Pro Bowl appearances, 2 trips to the postseason. Said there were a lot of factors in his decision not to come back, but mostly he felt it was just time. From the 22. They run it on first down. There's Marcel Reese. Brought down by Terrence Newman at the 30, a pickup of 8. Up front, the Raiders will have their hands full against the Cincinnati front, who's played very well. Khalif Barnes back last week after missing 7 games with a groin injury. Backs and receivers, McFadden and Goodson still out. So the Raiders will have to rely on Marcel Reese, coming off a 100-yard day last week against the Saints. Second and 2 from the 30. Reese up the middle for a first down. Fights his way to the 35. Chris Crocker made the stop. Here's the Bengals defense. They have been very good up front. Geno Atkins, 8 sacks. That's 4th in the AFC. 1st in the league among interior defensive linemen. Linebacker Vontaze Burfict, undrafted, coming out of Arizona State, now starting, and a playmaker at weak side linebacker. And the secondary filled with number 1 picks. Newman and Hall at the corners. Reggie Nelson back after missing the last 2 games with a hamstring injury. First down for the Raiders on their own 35. Opening possession of the ball game, and Carson is nailed. Geno Atkins, his 9th sack of the season, a loss of 7.
We mentioned in the open how good this front 4 is. They got nicked in the run game early on, but Geno Atkins just goes right by Brizell. Mike Brizell doesn't even slow him up. That was a quick run fake. Carson Palmer was just going to step and throw that immediately, and he didn't have a chance. If the Raiders can't handle that quick of a pass rush on a play action, they're in trouble.
Palmer, second and long. Checks it underneath. To the 31, that's Jeremy Stewart. Geno Atkins, spectacular this season, coming off a Pro Bowl appearance last season. 9 sacks now, 3 forced fumbles. That leads the defensive tackles in the NFL, and 35 total tackles among the leaders in the National Football League. He is just a playmaker in the middle.
And he leads a group there that was really a concern for the Raiders. They knew that front 4 was dominant when they're playing well, and if they can't protect Carson Palmer with a 4-man rush, leaving 7 to cover in the back end of the defense, the Raiders are in for a long day.
3rd and 14. They have to get to the 45 for a first down. Palmer, nowhere to go. Sacked again, and the crowd here in Cincinnati loves it. Michael Johnson will get the sack, a loss of 6.
Well, Carson Palmer's not known for being an athletic quarterback, being able to run, but he does have good pocket presence as he'll slide back and forth in the pocket trying to find a moment. It's a 6-man rush, so it's going to run out of time. Carson Palmer's going to run out of time pretty quickly anyway. Nobody was open. There were absolutely no options and no opportunity to throw it.
Shane Leckler, one of the best in NFL history. Boots it to Adam Jones. Little stutter step, makes 1 man miss. Now some running room. And a nice return out across the 40. A 51-yard punt and a 17-yard return, and Andy Dalton and the Bengals will take the field when we come back. Carson Palmer getting some attention on the sideline. The last time these teams played here in Cincinnati was in '06. Carson, of course, was the quarterback for the Bengals. Cincinnati won it 27-10 with Carson throwing for almost 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. Opening possession for Cincinnati. Good field position from their own 42. Mohamed Sanu with a nice pickup on first down. Michael Huff made the stop. Gain of 6. Andy Dalton in his second year since taking over for Carson Palmer, having another outstanding season. 4 touchdown passes 2 weeks ago against the Giants. He was the AFC Offensive Player of the Week in a game the Bengals needed to win. 6 touchdown passes, no interceptions over the last 2 weeks. Changing the play, 2nd and 4. And Jarvis Green Ellis fights for some tough yards inside, just about a yard short of the first down. In front, both tackles have played well, Smith and Whitworth. They also like the way the rookie Zeitler has come along. Backs and receivers, the Bengals have arguably the best young receiver in the league. In A.J. Green, he and Andy Dalton have developed a remarkable chemistry. And today, Green trying to catch a touchdown pass in a 10th straight game.
Yeah, it's easier to formulate a nice chemistry with a guy who's open even when he's not open.
3rd and short. Green Ellis with the first down. It's in running room, and he bursts through. And Jarvis Green Ellis. And no signal. They're talking it over.
It looked like he got in from up here. All he's got to do is get that ball inside the pylon before he goes out of bounds. And I thought it was, that was a touchdown.
There it is.
They talked it over. It looked good from up here at first glance. And after a discussion, the officials finally called it. I don't think this will be any problem with this. It'll be automatically reviewed, of course. But he's inbounds, and there's no question. That is a touchdown. What a great effort by the guy they call Ben Jarvis Green Ellis.
49 yards, the first time that he has had a run of 25 yards or more since 2010.
On a 3rd and short, you know the Raiders are going to try and dive into the line of scrimmage and try and stop this play. And once it popped that first level, it was a foot race.
They will review the scoring play. Timeout on the field here in Cincinnati. We're back, still awaiting the review of the touchdown run. The call on the field was a touchdown by Ben Jarvis Green Ellis. Let's take another look, Steve.
It was a little closer than what we first thought. That pylon is not part of the goal. It's out of bounds. So you'll see Green Ellis has got to get the ball inside that pylon. Now, if any part of the ball is just the smallest part is on that white line before it goes in. Now the white line, the front of the white line inside the sideline, and I think this might be upheld. Although it's much closer than it appeared at first look.
The ruling on the field is reversed. The runner, as he's diving, has the ball outside the pylon, and he hits the pylon with his left hand. Therefore, the ball will be placed on the 3/4-yard line, where it will be 1st and goal, Cincinnati.
And that's the right call. The ball has to be inside that pylon, but when you hit that pylon, that kind of always makes the officials think, okay, you got inside of it. But watch as this play takes place right at the line of scrimmage, right through there on this 3rd and short. You pop through that first wave of defenders, and it's off to the races. And you see there, he's just got to get inside that pylon. You can see the skid marks that are right there at the point of the end zone.
Matt Giordano saved a touchdown. Still the longest run of Ben Jarvis Green Ellis's career, 48 yards. So 1st and goal for Cincinnati. Green Ellis. No signal.
No signal yet. And for those of you who are college football fans, you'll know that a goal line stand does happen. You watched the football game last night. So hard to get in. It seems like a 3/4 of a yard is not that hard, but
just short of the goal line and 2nd and goal.
right in there. Yeah, he might have it in right there. That's pretty close.
Hey, down.
Nevertheless, 2nd and goal. Again, there, no question. Green Ellis in the end zone. And Jarvis Green Ellis coming off his first 100-yard game as a Bengal. He rushed for 101 and a touchdown last week against the Chiefs, and an early score here against the Raiders.
It's so difficult to make a stand with that field position, just inches off the goal line. The offense has all the advantage with the snap count. They can get a quick jump, power it in with those big bodies up front. In that case, on the 2nd attempt, there's no question.
Mike Nugent going to try the extra point. So an explosive run from Jarvis Green Ellis puts the Bengals on the board. They lead it 7-0 here in Cincinnati.
Palmer rolls right to throw. Throwing in zone.
Yeah.
Touchdown, Chad Johnson. And the Bengals are in the playoffs for the first time since 1990.
That 2005 win over the Lions locked up the Bengals' first divisional title since 1990. It was Carson's 2nd season as the full-time starter here in Cincinnati.
It's interesting. You talk about how, as you look at that last scoring drive, how things come full circle. The most recent meeting between these two teams was in Oakland. Carson Palmer obviously quarterbacking for the Bengals, but for the Raiders it was Bruce Gradkowski, the backup quarterback for the Bengals.
And Cease from 3 yards deep in the end zone. Finds some running room and reaches his average, the 25-yard line. We'll get coverage of every NFL game while on the go this holiday weekend with NFL Mobile. Watch every touchdown from Sunday afternoon's games with NFL Red Zone for $5 a month. Call ** NFL to download or go to NFL.com/mobile.
Well, on that first series, we saw Carson Palmer drop back, get lots of pressure, particularly with the 6-man rush. The Raiders were worried about that 4-man rush. The Bengals sending more guys, and it's even bigger problems for the Raiders. They've got to get that protection straightened out.
And first down, Reese. Stop for a loss. Swarming Cincinnati defense, led by Carlos Dunlap, who's starting to become more of what they thought he would be. Coming out of the University of Florida, 2nd-round pick in 2010. I think his potential as a big, explosive presence off the edge is limitless.
He's been held to only 8 games in this season because of a preseason knee injury, but Dunlap certainly a guy the Bengals depend upon.
2nd and 12. Palmer sacked twice on the Raiders' opening drive. The delay, Jeremy Stewart finds some running room out close to the 30. Vontez Burfict made the stop. Pick up of 7.
Bruce Allen, you see on the sidelines, a young, energetic, really impressive guy to sit down and speak with. You understand why Reggie McKenzie tabbed him to be the head coach. He's got a lot on the ball, a lot of energy, and a kind of guy I think players will play hard for and rally around. They're building for long-term wins here in Raiderland and Raider Nation, but make no mistake, they want to win right now.
3rd and 5, and you see the graphic. The Raiders have not been good on 3rd down. Palmer lofts it. Incomplete. Was trying to hit Denarius Moore, and Leon Hall had great coverage.
Yeah, Palmer threw that up, and I don't want to make an excuse for a receiver, but look at the shadows on the ground and watch where the shadow of the ball comes out. Right up into their heads. The ball comes right down out of the sun for both of those players. I don't think either player is going to have an opportunity on that one. It's hard to get your hands up and high point that football when it looks like you're trying to grab the sun.
So 4th and 5 for Oakland. Leckler boots it away. Beautiful punt. Adam Jones from the 12. And there's a marker down on the other side of the field. Jones brings it back.
It's going to be a block in the back.
During the return, illegal block in the back. Number 23 in the receiving team. Half the distance of the goal. First down, timeout.
57-yard punt, 11-yard return, and then the penalty. Bengals and the Raiders here in the first. The Raiders have been outscored 135-69 in their last 3 games and came in with a defense ranked last in the NFL in points allowed, giving up an average of 32 points a game. Bengals scored on their opening possession. They lead at 7-0. Dalton, lots of time. Finally has to sling it away. Good coverage in the secondary by the Raiders. Went over the head of Mohamed Sanu, who's emerged as the Bengals' second receiver beside A.J. Green, especially with Andrew Hawkins out.
At the end of that play, A.J. Green ended up at the 20-yard line at the other end of the field. You talk about going deep. He was across the river. This Raider team, as we saw in that first drive, gave up the long run. They've also been susceptible to big plays through the air as well. Giving up the home run play has been their nemesis, and it's been their own doing. Missed mistakes on the defensive front.
Sliding out across the 15 to the 16-yard line. And let's check in New York with JB and Shannon for an update.
Pittsburgh likes this part of the game plan.
Yes, JB, when you're down to your third quarterback and he hasn't played in a while, you need help from your defense. And the Steelers get it. Lawrence Timmons, 53-yard INT return for a touchdown. The Steelers are on top in Cleveland, 7-3.
All right, let's take it back. Bill McAtee, Steve Tasker.
All right, guys, thank you very much. The Bengals came in 1 game behind the Steelers and the Colts in the race for a wild card spot. Empty backfield for Cincinnati on 3rd and 6. Dalton. Across the middle. Who else? A.J. Green. All the way down to the 40-yard line, and he made that look easy.
And that's been the problem. The Raiders get the Bengals right where they want them on a 3rd and 7 or 3rd and 8. And then they allow A.J. Green, who everybody knows is the #1 option most of the time for the Bengals. They let him run free down the middle of the field in hash marks on a deep crossing route. Andy Dalton, plenty of time with a 3-man rush. Throws it right in his breadbasket. That is an easy pickup. You're right. It may look all too easy for the Bengals on that 3rd and long.
34 yards. Another big play against this Raider defense. The delay. Green Ellis, a nice pickup. Down inside the 35 to the 34, and back again to JB and Shannon for another update.
T.Y. could stand for tremendous yards, Shannon.
JB, I don't know if he stayed in a hotel that bears his last name, but he did do something that hadn't been done in Indy since 2007. 75-yard punt return for a touchdown. They're on top, 7-0.
Bill and Steve.
All right, guys, thank you very much.
Most exciting play in football. Punt return for a TD.
Meanwhile, an incomplete pass to Mohamed Sanu. Colts have lost only once at home this season. As we mentioned, one of those teams the Bengals are going to be watching for a wild card spot as the rest of the season plays out.
And this is another 3rd down here for the Bengals, a 3rd and about 4 yards. And this is critical because if they pick this up, they'll be in field goal range. Right now, it's a pretty long shot for a field goal. The Raiders could get away with no points if they force the punt.
48-yard run and the 44-yard pass completion all happened on 3rd down, but Dalton doesn't like what he sees, so takes a timeout. 5:20 left to go in the first here in Cincinnati. Bengals have come back after the 4-game losing streak and played well on both sides of the football, outscoring the Giants in Kansas City by a combined 59-19 to get back to 5-5. Here facing 3rd and 4. They lead at 7-0. They scored on their opening possession. Sanu, who lined up in the backfield and fights his way for an apparent first down inside the 30. Mohamed Sanu.
That's why he's in the lineup. He's so versatile. He's a wide receiver, but this is a guy who's done it all. I mean, he's a wide receiver, but they've given him the football He's also come out of the Wildcat, and you see here the patient run, lets the Raiders over-pursue, and then sticks his head right down, bears his shoulders to the line of scrimmage, and gets a tough first down and a crucial first down for this drive.
The rookie third-round pick out of Rutgers. So 1st and 10. Green Ellis with more running room. And a flag is down after a big gain by BenJarvus Green Ellis of 15 yards.
Jermaine Gresham is holding his hands up like, I hope that's not on me, and I think that always means it is on him.
Holding, number 84, offense. 10-yard penalty. It will remain first down.
Gresham indeed called for the infraction.
Right here. Working right there against Lamar Houston. And Houston, yeah, he's got his hand on the outside of Houston's left shoulder and holds him in, keeps him from spinning out to make that play. And that's a penalty.
So that moves him back to the Oakland 39. It'll be 1st and 20. Green Ellis alone in the backfield. Short drop for Dalton. Quick out to the tight end, Orson Charles. Gets back close to the original line of scrimmage. Gain of 10.
Charles starting to get a little more work here out of the slot. He's a 4th-round draft pick this year. We had 5 catches coming into the game today, but you know, as this season progresses all around the league, you see guys emerge and rosters evolve and offenses evolve, and just like we see with Mohamed Sanu, Marvin Lewis getting more and more guys into the mix offensively, giving Andy Dalton more options than just A.J. Green.
2nd and 10. Dalton, center of the field. Gresham down inside the 5. Tyvon Branch saved the touchdown. A gain of 27 yards, and that's a good way to make up for a penalty.
Well, you see here, Rolando McClain drops back, and he just hesitates as he catches BenJarvus Green Ellis coming out of the backfield. He stops retreating to get into that throwing lane.
Up quickly, they throw the fade. Touchdown! Sanu, what a catch!
Wow, he pulled that in left-handed, one-handed, and I was surprised that he got that second foot in. What a great throw by Dalton. You got to let this go before the guy's open. There's a catch, 1, 2. He got them both in. Great catch, tremendous ball skills by Mohamed Sanu, pulling it in one-handed and then cradling it for full control. No question about it. That's a touchdown.
3rd straight game that he's found the end zone.
And they will review this automatically as well, as they did with BenJarvus Green Ellis's almost touchdown.
The previous play will be reviewed.
And we'll take a look upstairs.
No question, it's going to come down to, did he have control when the first foot was down? You see, there's no question that there's left foot's down and then the right one's in bounds, but did he have control when the left foot was down with just the one hand? See, there's the one-hand catch, there's foot's down, and I think there's no question he had control of it. Now, you can say he didn't have 2 hands on it or whatever, but the ball didn't bobble, it didn't move around. Seemed to me he had control of it.
So how about the rookie out of Rutgers? He runs for a first down coming out of the backfield, and then with an apparent touchdown reception.
Marvin Lewis told us, Mohamed Sanu, he's just earned his chance to be on the field. And you look at the guys they had. This is a team, and Marvin Lewis had 7 receivers on the active roster, more than any team in the league, and that's the reason. You think about, Hawkins, Andrew Hawkins, who's out of this game with an injury, and you can bring in a guy like Mohamed Sanu, who's the same type of wide receiver, and you understand why they kept all those guys. They've got some real playmakers, and that's huge for a team that already has A.J. Green as a #1 option.
Sanu came in with 11 catches for 125 yards, all coming over the last 4 games.
We had the opportunity to speak to Marvin Lewis just before the game down on the sidelines, and we asked him, how Andy Dalton's doing. Everybody's looking for that sophomore slump. He said, well, in the stretch of games we lost, we just didn't make the plays that were there to be made. Like we have tipped interceptions. He seemed very happy with Dalton's play, even though he went through a rough stretch. And I kind of have to agree with him. Dalton has a lot more on his plate this year, and he's handled it beautifully, just like he did a year ago as a rookie.
Let's take another look, and if it stands, this will be replayed frequently.
See, to me, that ball doesn't bobble or move even in the one hand when he pulls it in. But do they give him control with just the one hand?
The ruling on the field is confirmed. The receiver gets control of the ball with one hand, gets 2 feet down, therefore we have a touchdown.
And he did have control with one hand, and that was the key.
There's one final look, and this is a Cincinnati team that's gotten it back together in the last couple of weeks. We mentioned in the open a 4-game losing streak. They're 5-5 now, and when you're making plays like this and playing as solidly offensively as they are with their front four defensively playing well, they look a lot like a playoff team.
21st touchdown pass of the season for Andy Dalton.
They had two possessions this game and have scored a touchdown on both.
Surpasses his touchdown total from a year ago. Nugent with the extra point. And the defensive woes continue for the Oakland Raiders in a quick hole here in week 12, 14-0. Dalton with a touchdown pass. 16 area youths who demonstrated healthy lifestyles were selected to join the Bengals and their mascot Who Day at today's game. Their selection was part of the NFL's Play 60 program that encourages kids to get 60 minutes of exercise a day. And you can tell by those faces they had a great time. And they've enjoyed watching the hometown Bengals jump all over the Oakland Raiders.
2 impressive drives by the Bengals to start this game.
Francis, 3 yards deep. And upended as he flies across the 15-yard line to the 16. Well, got a sports fan on your gift list. Avoid the crowds with CBSSports.com. Shop. Save big on all officially licensed clearance gear with an additional 20% off now at shop.cbssports.com. Once again, the greeting for Carson Palmer. You have to try to bring the Raiders back once again. Palmer will throw with time over the head of Moore. Denarius Moore came in as the Raiders' leading receiver, 35 receptions for 584 yards, 5 touchdowns, but he and Carson seemed a little out of sync last week. Moore was targeted 7 times, but had just 1 catch for 9 yards.
Yeah, that was a corner route with a hookup on the outside, and Carson Palmer had to let it go before Moore could turn around and adjust to it. It's just a tough route to hit, a late developing route that's, it was just incomplete.
Stewart stays in the backfield. Short drop for Carson, under pressure once again. Able to get rid of it and almost intercepted. Leon Hall had a beat on it, but could not bring it in.
Yeah, this game has all the makings of exactly what the Raiders have been going through. They've given up some points early, and Carson Palmer is going to have to drop back and try and put up some big numbers to get him back in it. And Dennis Allen told us Carson has tried almost to do too much. As we saw in the first series when he tried to keep a play alive. This series when he shakes off a would-be sack to try and fit a tough throw into tight coverage down the middle. Once again, Carson Palmer is feeling the pressure to do so much for the Raiders that becomes counterproductive to their offense.
And that is Leon Hall, the cornerback, holding his hand. Chris Crocker, by the way, was coming on that safety blitz, so he applied the pressure to Carson Palmer. But obviously Leon Hall in some pain. He has been solid at cornerback since coming into the league as the Bengals' first-round pick in 2007 out of the University of Michigan.
I think he caught that ball right on the tip of his finger and jammed it.
So 3rd and 10, the Raiders have run 10 plays. 6 have gone for 0 or negative yardage. Trying to convert their first 3rd down. Palmer. Where does he let go of the football? Here's Reggie Nelson, the other safety, coming on a blitz.
Well, the Bengals are taking no prisoners here in the first quarter. They are coming after Palmer with everything they've got. The Raiders have some serious pass protection issues. They keep both backs in, but they move them to the other side of the formation, thinking the pressure's coming from there, and the Bengals fool them.
So we'll see Shane Leckler once again, averaging 48.5 yards a punt this season. Jones from the 29 reverses his field and cannot get away. Tywan Jones made the stop. Lost 7 yards on the return. Let's check in with the fellas once again in New York for an update.
Shannon, you'd like to see more of this.
Yes, the Falcons were down 7-3. No longer. Jaquez Rogers, 5-yard TD run. Now they're back in front of the Bucs. 10-7 in Tampa.
McAtee, Tasker.
All right, guys, thank you. The Bucs have been playing some pretty good football of late. And Atlanta, obviously one of the elite teams in the National Football League.
The season is really getting interesting right now. You think back to the early going when so many teams in this conference, the AFC, were 3-3. Wow, it looked like it was going to be a horse race, and it still does.
Good play on special teams for the Raiders. So the Bengals will start from their own 22. They lead at 14-0. Green Ellis fights for a couple.
Look at the all these 5 players at the top are individual yardages compared to the Oakland Raiders at the bottom. They all have outgained the Raider offense, and I think it says as much about the Bengal defense as it does about the Raider offense. This Bengal defense has come in stoked to play against their old quarterback Carson Palmer, and Mike Zimmer is turning them loose.
Dalton from the gun. Underneath, that's caught by Brandon Tate. It's going to be short of a first down by about a yard. Brandon Tate, who came over last year from New England, had 8 catches for 129 yards and a touchdown coming in. And that'll bring up 3rd and short. Bengals perfect on 3rd down. They've gotten 2 big plays on 3rd down as well. Dalton will throw on the move, floats it out of bounds.
Oh, and A.J. Green, you can see how mad Dalton is. A.J. Green is standing by himself outside the numbers with nobody was close to him. And they completely left him all by himself. A.J. Green, I mean, in the middle of an open cow pasture. I mean, he's by himself. Dalton just can't get it to him.
Tyvon Branch and Philip Wheeler had the pressure. Philip Adams back deep, waiting the punt from Huber. Lets the bounce, and it goes out of bounds close to the 30-yard line. The 40-yard punt. Carson Palmer taking the field once again to a welcome home from the fans here in Cincinnati. Well, nobody knows the game like a quarterback. Break down all the NFL action on NFL Monday QB tomorrow at 6:30 Eastern, only on CBS Sports Network, your 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Spotted at the 29-yard line. And so far, the Raiders have not been able to get anything going on offense.
Well, you can bet they're going to get a heavy dose of pressure from this Bengals defense. It's been working for them, and they'll stay with it.
Reese in the backfield with Palmer. And they give it to him. Not much running room for Marcel Reese. He didn't have a single carry before week 10. He had 193 yards from scrimmage last week against the Saints. 103 rushing and 90 yards receiving. They have lined him up all over the field. He's been a fullback, a tight end, a tailback, even wide receiver, and he has performed at all of those positions. 2nd and 6. Palmer with time. And that is caught by Brandon Myers, the tight end, right near the first down marker. As we have reached the end of the first quarter, and we'll return to Cincinnati after these messages. You're watching the NFL on CBS, home of Super Bowl 47. We're back, ready to start the second quarter. 18 yards total offense for the Raiders, fewest since they played the Colts in December of 2010. Raiders have not been a great team recently when they've had to travel to the eastern part of the country. 8 straight losses. They haven't won a game in the eastern time zone since they beat the Steelers in Pittsburgh in December of 2009. First down. Reese stacked up at the line of scrimmage.
Well, we watched these Raiders offensively. We spoke to Carson Palmer and Marcel Reese, and of course Dennis Allen as well. They all three echoed the same thought. The Raiders offensively have got to stay on schedule. They can't win this game if they're in 3rd and 5+ consistently. They've got to get down to where the running game is a threat on 3rd down. If they don't, they really feel like it puts them at a disadvantage they can't overcome.
2nd and 9. Bengals were showing blitz. And here they come. Palmer able to get rid of it. That's caught. Nice grab by Jerron Kreiner, the rookie out of Arizona. He had his first career NFL touchdown catch last week against the Saints. And they want to get him more involved in the offense. That was good for 6 yards.
Yeah, he's shown the ability, as you see here, tough high catch, but he does well after the catch too, pulling it down. Looks like he's going to gather himself to squirt forward for the first down. Got great ability after the catch as well. That's why they want to get him the ball on those short throws.
Raiders still trying to convert a 3rd down. 3rd and 3. Incomplete. Trying to hit Darius Hayward-Bay, but Adam Jones had outstanding coverage.
Yeah, the Raiders were asking for a penalty on Jones. Does he grab him with his right hand and spin him around? Yeah, he does a little bit. I don't know that the pass was catchable from that angle, but I thought Hayward-Bay got spun around by Jones so that he spun away from the football, and that's a tactic that everybody, if you watch football, you see it all the time where that defensive back will swipe the ball with one hand and pull the receiver with the other, and I think Adam Jones got away with one.
So Brandon Tate on to return the punt. Winkler with another outstanding punt. The fair catch is made at the 10-yard line. A 43-yard punt. Back in Cincinnati, the Bengals lead the Raiders 14-0. Bengals coming off a season best 189 yards rushing last week against Kansas City. And there's not been a lot for the Raider faithful to cheer for so far today. Dalton steps up under pressure and steps out of bounds. Nifty little run from Andy Dalton. Tremendous college career at TCU, 42 wins, including a perfect season capped by the victory over Wisconsin in the Rose Bowl. Let's take another look.
And if you're Cincinnati Bengal fans, will notice that Andy Dalton, the new quarterback, runs a little better than Carson Palmer, the old one. That was a great play by a quarterback, gives up a 2nd and short, and an opportunity really to take a shot down the football field on a big play.
2nd and 2. Dalton going deep, and Marvin Jones had about 3 steps, but Andy just missed him.
And that's the big play attempt I was talking about. The Raiders come after him with a 7-man rush. They go completely man coverage in the back of the defense. McClain gets a shot on Dalton, but that's open. That was just underthrown behind Jones. If that was out on the sideline, Jones had a big play.
And Andy was brought down hard, so 3rd and 2.
Changing the play.
They've given him a lot more flexibility to do that this year. Green Ellis. And he's got a first down by a yard. Burris made the stop. And once again, let's check in with JB and Shannon in New York for an update.
No doubting Cleveland's effort.
No question. Isaac Redmond for the Steelers turns it over. And the guy with two first names, JB, Jordan Cameron. 5-yard TD reception, 10-7. Cleveland's on top.
Two first names, Shannon. Back to Bill and Steve.
Thank you, gentlemen. Browns looking for their third win of the season. Dalton underneath. Green Ellis. And a nice pickup on first down. Gain of 9.
Yeah, another good first down run. We saw Andy Dalton run for one, set him up with a 2nd and 1, and now another 2nd and 1 after first down. Dalton doing a very nice job, I think, more so than even last year when he played so well, of managing this offense and getting not so much into perfect play, but out of bad plays and making the most of the ones they run.
Balanced offense for the Bengals. They run the end around, and a nice pickup by A.J. Green, who showed that tremendous acceleration.
Yeah, now you can see a little bit of frustration coming into the Raiders defense there. They get caught looking, and of course, as they completely pursue to their left, A.J. Green coming around on the right side. The Raiders getting caught. You can see everybody on the Raiders front 7 dives to the left, thinking it's going to be a run for that first down yardage, and they give it to A.J. Green on the misdirection and caught the Raiders completely unaware.
And a nice block by Gresham to spring Green. Dalton finally goes underneath to Gresham. It's the first man miss, tries to extend, and the play results in a gain of just over a yard. McLean made the stop. It's been a game of big plays already for the Cincinnati Bengals. The 48-yard run by Jarvis Green Ellis, and then the 44-yard pass to A.J. Green. Gresham with the 27-yard reception, and that has been a problem for the Raiders all season long. Already, the Bengals with 4 plays at 20 yards or more. 2nd and 9. Gresham again with the catch to the 41-yard line.
The Raiders really struggling to keep up with this Cincinnati offense, and now the Cincinnati Bengals will go no huddle as Dalton just picking them apart. The Raiders have tried pressure, they've tried coverage, they've tried pursuit, they've tried everything, and nothing has fazed Andy Dalton and the Bengals offensively.
3rd and 2. Trying to keep this drive going. Green Ellis with a first down.
And that's why when you get a good play on first down, like the Bengals have done a couple of times on this drive, you're not hesitant to try and go for the home run on 2nd and short, because you have such confidence in Green Ellis to just get that first down on 3rd down run. The Raiders have had no answer, so the Raiders are completely at their mercy at this point.
Up-tempo offense for the Bengals. They already lead it 14-0. Dalton. Green Ellis caught from behind. Never really could get going. Rogelio Hansen made the stop. He's a player that Dennis Allen singled out as a bright spot on that Raider defense that has obviously struggled at times in his 8th year out of Texas Tech.
Well, in the midst of every rough season for every team around the league, and they all have them, guys seize that opportunity to make a name for themselves. Julio Hansen is one of those guys.
Cedric Pierman has checked in. He's in the backfield. And they give it to Pierman, who fights his way and picks his way. Still on his feet. What a run. And finally brought down at the 5. 31 yards for Pierman.
Another big play, and this one right out of the running game. An off-tackle play to the right. Pierman breaks through the front line, sheds a couple of tackles, and that's it. Giordano and Francis, or actually Tyvon Branch, both missed the tackle, and that turns into the big play. And more often than not, a big play offensively is set up by a missed tackle. That was set up by 2 missed tackles.
So first and goal just inside the 5. Pearman coming off his best rushing game as a Bengal last week against Kansas City. And he is hammered right at the line of scrimmage. Miles Burris, who opened the season a weak side linebacker, brings the hit, the rookie out of San Diego State, 4th round draft pick. Second and goal.
When you talk about this Raider team, Dennis Allen told us they just don't have the confidence. They've worked hard. They've done everything that the coaches have asked for them, but they just haven't seen the results of that hard work, and that's when it gets to be tough.
Bunch set for the receivers on the right side. Wanted to hit A.J. Green, but there are a lot of white jerseys over there, including Michael Huff.
And Michael Huff not letting A.J. Green get off the line of scrimmage. He's going to not let him get to the corner. You see how he cuts him off and then turns for the football. That's well defended by Michael Huff, who moved up there from the safety spot for the Raiders and done a pretty good job thus far, although the Raiders struggling to stop this Bengals team who's really hitting on all cylinders.
Third and goal. A.J. Green looking for his 10th consecutive game with a touchdown reception. Mohamed Sanu with his second touchdown catch of the game.
Sanu right here. He's just going to go right over the ball where the ball is snapped and hook up into the end zone. Right there. And it's just gunned in hard by Dalton right past the outstretched hands of Hansen. And the Bengals are in total control of this football game. Their defense is rested, haven't been on the field much. They've stopped the Raiders when they do get on the field, and the offense hasn't missed a play.
Nugent going to try the extra point and make it a 21-0 lead for the Cincinnati Bengals. 7:28 left to go in the half. A big day for the rookie out of Rutgers, Mohamed Sanu. Another impressive drive by the Cincinnati Bengals. 13 plays, 89 yards. It ends with Sanu's 5-yard touchdown catch. Second of the game for the rookie out of Rutgers. Bengals in control, 21-0. Francis from 3 yards deep. Good special teams coverage from the Bengals. Stopped short of the 20-yard line. Well, it was a Cedric Pearman run. A brilliant effort from this third-year man out of Virginia that set up the touchdown. Bengals lead at 21-0. The Oakland Raiders with only 25 yards total offense so far. They take over, 1st and 10 from their own 19. The Cincinnati defense has been outstanding today. Stewart. No room to run. Geno Atkins made the stop. Well, thanks to you, our generous viewers, the American Red Cross has been helping thousands affected by Hurricane Sandy get back on their feet. On this Thanksgiving weekend, we want to thank all of you for making a real difference. Learn more at redcross.org. CBS cares. 2nd and 11. Carson Palmer trying to get something going against some of his old teammates who have not been very hospitable. Time there and close to a first down. Brandon Myers, the tight end. Young tight end the Raiders think has a very bright future. A gain of 10. Burfict made the stop.
Yeah, when your wide receivers aren't winning on the outside, as these Raiders have struggled to do, your tight end becomes a bigger part of it. He came in leading the team, and he'll continue to get a lot of catches until Carson Palmer has other options.
Still trying to convert on 3rd down. 3rd and 1. They'll go from the shotgun. Palmer, the ball's out quickly. Again to Myers, and forward progress will get him that first down. Reggie Nelson made the stop.
This is just a quick little out route. Palmer gets rid of the football immediately. That's a lot of that has to do with the design of the play, obviously, but you call that play because Palmer is not going to have time to sit back there and let a deep route develop. The Bengals are getting a lot of pressure with just a few rushers.
Again, Palmer changing the play. It is loud in here. First down. They run it. Jeremy Stewart, he's the rookie free agent out of Stanford. Started training camp with the Jets. Signed to the Raiders practice squad at the beginning of the regular season. Made his NFL debut with 22 yards on 7 carries in Week 10 against the Ravens.
And this Raider team, if they're going to turn it around, the Raider team is really going to have to get contributions from everybody. And they're going to have to give Carson Palmer some place to throw the football.
2nd and 4. The delay. Stewart just wrapped up as he got the football by Reggie Nelson.
Yeah, and that's going to be a loss of 1 on that play as well. Watch, he's just going to hand the ball here, and then these linebackers and the defensive and the safety are going to come up and just not bite at all. They just got too many defenders for the Raiders to block. That play is snapped off right at the snap.
They'll have to convert another 3rd down to keep this drive going. 3rd and 5. Palmer under pressure, gets rid of it to Reese. And he's got a first down out across the 45 to the 46.
Well, this gives you an idea of why Carson Palmer thinks so much of Marcel Reese. Reese is pass protecting and finally turns around as the play comes apart, and Palmer just gets him the football, just almost hands it to him, and Reese makes the most out of it, gets the first down. Reese is so intelligent. Palmer couldn't say enough about his ability to play all those positions and play them all well.
Another first down. The Raiders have not crossed midfield yet. Palmer again underneath. Now they're in Cincinnati territory. And that is Marcel Reese, who's an excellent receiver. Burfict made the stop after a gain of 9.
Well, Reese is 255. He's built a little bit like a tight end. He's going to come out of the backfield here, just release out and working right there against Burfict. Burfict with his eyes in the backfield just allows to throw and then breaks on it.
A little rhythm now for the Raiders. Reese trying to fight for the first down, gets back to the line of scrimmage,
and there's a
still short.
And this is, we approach the 2-minute warning. There's a difference in the offenses right there. The Raiders with a 2nd and a yard really just want to get that first down. They hand it to Reese on a dive up the middle. The Bengals, on the other hand, at 2nd and 1, repeatedly take a shot at the end zone. One team with confidence in their ability to pick up the first down, and one team that does not have confidence.
3rd and 1. And they can't get the play off before the 2-minute warning. 21-0 Bengals. The first 4 drives for the Raiders resulted in just 25 yards. Already on this drive, they've covered 36 yards and facing 3rd and 1.
Now the Bengals will take a timeout.
Timeout. Cincinnati.
Cincinnati calls timeout. 2 minutes left to play in the opening half. Coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report, Join JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Cower for all the latest NFL scores and highlights from Week 12. That's all coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. So after the Cincinnati timeout, 3rd and 1 for Oakland. Palmer will throw with time. Darius Hayward-Bay in and out of his hands and incomplete.
And that was a drop. These are the plays that the Raiders have got to make. I mean, that Carson Palmer threw a perfect pass. And now they're going to go for it on 4th and 1 inside of 2 minutes. And I agree with it. You're down 21-0. You're 3-7 on the season. It's not much of a risk.
And they are not going to get it. That's Owen Schmidt, the fullback who took over as the starter with Marcel Reese moving to tailback. But there was nothing inside, and it will go over on downs.
Well, that front four that we've spoken about, even in the open, and have played so well. Look at Manny Lawson. Gathers is in there, and then, of course, all the little guys from the back end of the defense come jumping in on top, and there's just nothing there. I mean, they get pushed back. Bergstrom gets pushed back. The extra offensive lineman they bring in, Burfict over the top. I mean, the whole defense ends up on that pile to stop the 4th down conversion.
So the Bengals will have 1:48 left in the half, and good field position. They run the slant to A.J. Green. And all the way down, close to the 35, a gain of 19. Tyvon Branch was the first one to bring him down.
Excuse me, Bill. If you're in the first half and you're the Bengals, there's no mistake. You got your foot on the gas, and you're shifting gears, and you're trying to go downhill. You do not let up at all.
Dalton underneath to Sanu, who makes the catch. At the 30, Burris made the stop, a gain of 5.
Dalton going hurry up, no huddle, and the Raiders trying to match up with their nickel people. 5 defensive backs in the game. Actually 6.
Brian Leonard is in the backfield with Dalton. Clock running just inside a minute. They're trying to hit Sanu, who had a step, but just out of his reach.
And that's just a missed opportunity. As Sanu gets separation right there and just off his hands, just to the outside.
How about the play of this young man, Mohamed Sanu, today?
Well, Marvin Lewis told us he was going to be maybe a bigger part. He was certainly going to get some opportunities today and has earned them with his play in past weeks, shown flashes. And, of course, today, more than that. I mean, he's been the guy. 2 touchdowns.
2 touchdown receptions for Mohamed Sanu. 3rd and 5 for the Bengals. A.J. Green tried to extend, but could not bring it in before the ground forced him to let go.
And you talk about what's happened to the Bengals offensively. That play by Sanu just off his fingertip, and this one by A.J. Green. What a great route at the top, and we've seen him make that catch, that exact catch before. He's disappointed. That was a missed opportunity by the Bengals to go in closer with a bigger opportunity to end with a touchdown instead of a field goal attempt.
So Mike Nugent, who missed a field goal attempt of 50 yards last week, comes in to try this one from 48 yards away on 4th and 5.
Nope.
And he pushed it to the right. No good. So a bit of a rough patch for Mike Nugent, who's now 15 of 19 field goal tries.
Well, at halftime, Marvin Lewis is going to tell his team they haven't stopped us yet. We've stopped ourselves. Had a drop pass by A.J. Green and a missed field goal by Nugent. The Raiders have done nothing to put a damper on the Bengals' day today, and the Raiders just trying to find some offensive rhythm. Did so a little bit on that last drive, but still it stalled out and couldn't convert on a 4th and short. So the Raiders still looking for something positive to take in.
Carson Palmer with 3 straight 300-yard passing performances coming into this game. 40 seconds left to go in the half. Palmer. Incomplete. At the feet of Hayward Bay. And again, coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report, join JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Cower for all the latest NFL scores and highlights from today's action. That's all coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. Clock stops with 34 seconds left. 2nd and 10.
Cam. Set. Hot.
Palmer. Center of the field. Kreiner, the rookie 5th-round pick out of Arizona. Timeout on the field after the pickup of 10. 21-0 Bengals. And we're back after the timeout. 28 seconds left to go in the half. Raiders have it near midfield. Kreiner in motion. Palmer. Incomplete. Was trying to hit Marcel Reese. Yeah, that play would have gone nowhere anyway.
We've been talking about the numbers Carson Palmer's been putting up at this stretch of the season. Big numbers passing, and this game will give you an indication as to why that's happening. Raiders falling behind 21-0 in the first half. Carson Palmer dropping back just about every play, trying to get something going for this offense. And once again, the Raiders find themselves in that position.
23 seconds left in the half. Palmer. And that's a catch and a first down by Myers, the tight end. Now Aluga made the stop. A gain of 12. Raiders take another timeout. They have one remaining. 17 seconds left to go in this opening half. And tomorrow on CBS, is she a psychoanalyst or just plain psycho? Catch an electrifying new Hawaii 5-0 tomorrow, only CBS. Shane Leckler over there with Matt Leinart.
Interestingly enough, Shane Leckler is the emergency quarterback as well for the Raiders, sitting there by Leinart.
Played quarterback in his college days at Texas A&M. They've had a pretty good quarterback this year. Might just win the Heisman Trophy. 17 seconds left in the half. Janikowski has a big leg, so they might be able to get on the board at the very least. Palmer. Intercepted. Tipped away and intercepted. Crocker tiptoes up the sidelines and out of bounds with 8 seconds left in the half.
Well, 8 seconds with a timeout gives Cincinnati a chance to throw a football, catch it, and get down and call a timeout and try for the field goal. Carson Palmer, this ball gets tipped by Reese right into the waiting hands of Crocker. It looked like for a moment it was going to be a pick six, but the Raiders do a nice job rallying, and the offensive linemen all come over and take the angle to shut him off outside field goal range. And now they're moving the play back all the way to the 48-yard line.
Third interception of the season for Crocker, and that may have been where he stepped out of bounds. I'd like to give Nugent another chance at the very least. Time to run a play. Bengals have one timeout remaining. Dalton again with time. Middle of the field. And let's see if they got it in time.
Now the clock says zeros, but there's no question Cincinnati got the timeout before the clock ran out. At least they thought they did. 2 seconds, you can see there.
Please reset the clock to show 2 seconds. 2 seconds, please. Cincinnati has called their final timeout of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout. Reset. Thank you.
Al Riveron confirming the additional time. That was good for 11 yards.
Well, Mike Nugent's going to get another shot. This will be about 55. And that's a big kick.
Missed one from 48 yards earlier. to extend the Cincinnati lead heading into the locker room.
Tyvon Branch underneath the goalpost. Look for him to return it if it comes up short.
55 yards away. Got it! What a first half for the Cincinnati Bengals, trying to win their third in a row.
And they got all of this one after missing the one just before wide to the right. This one is right down the pipe from 55 and plenty to spare. Tyvon Branch looking for a chance to return it, stands and watches it go right over his head.
24-0, and we'll be back with the Verizon halftime report after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS, home of Super Bowl 47. Opening half, 24-0 Cincinnati. Bill McAtee back with Steve Tasker, and if you're Marvin Lewis, you really have to like what you've seen from your club over the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's what this game is really about. It's about the Cincinnati Bengals hitting their stride. We knew they were playing better these last few weeks, but today they've really stepped it up. They're making plays on both sides of the football, big plays as well, and really the only thing that has stopped them has been their own mistakes. A couple of drop passes and misses on third down have led to a couple of field goal attempts, and really the worst play of the first half for the Bengals was a missed field goal by Nugent,
which he made up for by connecting from 55 yards out. The numbers from the first half confirming the domination. 289 total yards for Cincinnati, just 83 for the Oakland Raiders. Now follow your favorite team all season long. Go to itunes.com/NFL. Bengals won the toss. They deferred to the second half, so they'll have the football to start the third quarter. Brandon Tate is the deep man, averaging almost 26 yards a return. The Raiders will try to figure out how to get back in this one. It has been all Cincinnati. Gronkowski boots it out of the end zone, and they'll bring it out to the 20. 1st and 10 for Cincinnati. Andy Dalton at the controls. Last 3 games, as we've said, they have been outstanding.
Yeah, they're getting 10 sacks, and they're +5 in the turnover, and those are huge numbers. And they talk to both the offense's ability to protect the football and the defense, and I think that's the story. Is as good as Andy Dalton and A.J. Green and company have looked, their defense has been outstanding today.
They really turned things around 2 weeks ago in that win over the Giants. Jarvis Green-Ellis had a terrific first half. Plain made the stop.
You think about how good that defense has played. The Raiders can't win if they can't score, and they've been shut out in this first half. And the Bengals, on the other hand, really just now, you come out of the second half and you want to keep on keeping on. I mean, there's obviously some adjustments that both teams will make, but really it comes down to the fact the Bengals can't stop themselves, and they're doing just about anything they want offensively.
Cincinnati has allowed only 1 touchdown in the last 2.5 games. 2nd and 9 for Cincinnati. Short drop, and that is almost intercepted. And Giordano can't believe that he was not able to bring that in.
And these are the kind of plays that just don't happen for you when you're having a rough stretch. That ball's right in his breadbasket. He'll catch that every time except that one.
And if you
And
think
that's
about
the kind of thing that leads to stretches like the Raiders are in.
the drop by Giordano there, and the missed first down conversion by Hayward Bay in the first half, really microcosm for the kind of season it's been for the Oakland Raiders. Meanwhile, Dalton over the head of A.J. Green and out of bounds. He was pretty well covered by Ron Bartell.
Well, Dalton threw that one a little quick because he got quick pressure. Watch as big Desmond Bryant ends up right in his lap, pulling him down. That's why that throw was off target. Came out a little before A.J. Green was ready.
Bryant made his 3rd start today for Richard Seymour, who didn't even make the trip this week. So rare punt. Kevin Huber ready to boot it away to Phillip Adams, who's standing back at about the 32-yard line. He'll be able to return this one. and does, stepping into Cincinnati territory. So very good field position with Carson Palmer and the Raiders as they go to work here in the second half. The starting field position for the Raiders today, they spot it right at midfield. Carson Palmer trying to bring Oakland back. Palmer into the seam, into traffic.
Palmer underthrowing Hayward Bay right there. Look at the way it's gone for the Raiders today. Carson Palmer having trouble hooking up with guys there. He overthrows Denarius Moore, and then the drop by Hayward Bay. The batted down ball by Reese, and then the tipped interception to Reese as well. It led to the big play for the Bengals.
2nd and 10. They take advantage of this good field position. Reese still on his feet. Great second effort. Moving the pile down to the 40.
Looked like he got enough for the first down. And this is a little bit of what Marcel Reese has given the Raiders. Little broken tackle and good physical running. He's a big guy, 6'2", 255. So when he gets his pads going, he's tough to bring down. You're going to need help as it takes 3 or 4 Bengals to get him down right there.
And that was good for a first down. We had a chance to visit with Marcel Reese yesterday. Very humble, unassuming guy. He said what he was most proud of is when the Raiders lost McFadden and Goodson, he was able to take over as the running back. He was ready. He knew all the plays, including the protections. And Carson Palmer said that was huge. And they give it to Reese on first down, finding some running room now.
Yeah. That thought, as you look at his November numbers, I mean, that's a good month for Marcel Reese. And Carson Palmer, he'll tell you, most running backs who come into the league as young players, the thing that keeps them off the field is their inability to pick up pass protection and the schemes that allow them to step up and pick the right guy up. Reese not only did that, but he did it at a different position than the one he'd been practicing. All he'd heard about was in meetings and watched it talked about. He'd never run those on the field and didn't make a single mistake.
In his 3rd year out of Washington on 2nd down, into the flat for Stewart. And the Bengals were all over it. Gathers led the charge. Terrence Newman still down on the field.
And this brings up a 3rd and 8, which is exactly where the Raiders do not want to be. Watch what happens with this as the players rally to this pass as it gets completed out on the screen. They want to let the pass rush go to Carson Palmer, let him through, and then they rally and look at the defensive linemen all getting out. Malaluga doesn't let all those guys end up right around the football before it can even gain yardage.
The Bengals have been tremendous in pressuring the quarterback in passing situations. 3rd and 8. And we have movement and a flag before the snap.
Game. They didn't get the playoff.
Delay a game. Offense, 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
And you saw Carson throw the ball in frustration. And that'll push him back to 3rd and 13.
The way things have gone, they just didn't get it off in time. The snap didn't come up to Palmer in time.
That is the first penalty of the game for the Raiders. That in and of itself is a small victory. But now facing 3rd and long. Extra protection for Palmer. And that will be well short of the first down. Griner dropped immediately by Leon Hall, who's back in the game.
That's going to lead to a long field goal attempt by the Raiders, but this is just an attempt to get it back in to manageable at 3rd and 14. You need to complete a pass and perhaps get a missed tackle to get the first down. You know, it's going to be really difficult with the pressure the Bengals have to drop back and let somebody run past the sticks. So you settle for the short completion, hoping for a longer run, and it just didn't happen.
This will be a 55-yard field goal try. We've already had a 55-yarder from Nugent in the first half, and almost a chip shot for Seabass. And the Raiders are on the board. Been a frustrating day with Carson Palmer coming back to Cincinnati, but a field goal for the Raiders. Sebastian Janikowski with the 55-yard field goal. He's missed only once this season, and that was a 64-yarder with time running out against Jacksonville. Now 23 of 24 on the season. Points on the board for the Raiders with 10:28 left to play in the third. Tate, he's going to bring it out. And hit as he crosses the 15. Vote to send your favorite players to the 2013 Pro Bowl in Hawaii. Vote online or with your mobile device at NFL.com/Pro Bowl or text Pro Bowl to MyNFL. You vote, they play. Andy Dalton and the Cincinnati offense back to work from the 17-yard line. Dalton on the move. Runs out of time and throws it away. Lamar Houston was in pursuit. Third-year man out of Texas.
Well, this is A.J. Green, usually the #1 option, certainly rolling out to his side. Dalton is looking there first. Looks like he's open there, but right about that time was when Dalton was avoiding the pressure from Houston back at the line of scrimmage. So the timing thrown off by Houston with the pressure. Dalton having to avoid him, missed A.J. Green as he came open.
So Cincinnati with a slow start here to the second half. 4 plays, just 1 total yard.
Wilson, cold.
Keep it on the ground. Green Ellis out to the 22. Hansen made the stop, a gain of 5.
And you can tell the Cincinnati Bengals offensively are at a different tempo than they were at the end of the first half, let alone the fact they were in a 2-minute. They were trying to hectically come back and score some more points before halftime, but now they look up at the scoreboard with a 3-touchdown lead, and you can just sense that they've taken a deep breath.
Facing a 3rd and 5, Brian Leonard goes out to the top of your screen. Empty backfield now for Dalton.
24.
On 3rd and 5. Incomplete, intended for Sanu. Crowd looking for a flag. They won't get one. Celio Hansen had the coverage, and the Bengals will have to punt.
Yeah, Hansen working on the slot. And that's what Adam Jones got away with the Bengals is exactly what Hansen got away with right there against Sanu. They got that off arm. They swipe the ball with one hand and pull the receiver with the other. And they're not calling it either way today.
Second, 3rd and out of the second half for Cincinnati. Huber on to punt it away to Phillip Adams, standing back at the 34. And let it bounce.
That hit a Raider.
Well, it would be down at about the 43-yard line, so Carson Palmer and the Oakland offense will take the field when we come back. Back in Cincinnati, a look at the 2 quarterbacks today. Good day for Andy Dalton. Tough one for Carson Palmer, although the interception was really not his fault. Off the hands of Marcel Reese. Good field position again for the Raiders. Started midfield last time. Palmer under pressure, and he won't be able to get rid of it. Another sack. Dunlap and Gilberry back there with Ray Malaluga.
Right here, as you'll see him coming off the corner. The play action fake doesn't really work on those front 4. And from this side, Dunlap really makes the play, and Gilberry gets a little bit of the end of it as Carson Palmer goes down. That was a pressure play that the play action did not fool those front 4.
Geno Atkins was the other player in on the sack, not Malaluga. They run the screen to Stewart, and he gets it back close to the 40.
And once again, the Raiders find themselves in a 3rd and 13, exactly the place they don't want to be. Dennis Allen going down the playlist, trying to find something that will get them back into this football game.
So they spot it short of the 40-yard line, 3rd and 14. They have to get it into Cincinnati territory for a first down. Extra protection. Bengals rush 4 underneath. That's caught by Stewart. And he stopped well short of the first down after a gain of 7. Burfict brought him down.
They'll bring a punt up, but once again, the Raiders not able to throw the football down the field with any consistency, so they got to settle for a short pass in the face of some pressure, and hopefully one of their guys can make something happen with the ball in their hands.
Brandon Tate, the deep man, averaging almost 10 yards of return this season. Alternating that duty with Adam Pac-Man Jones. Leckler. End over end. Scooped up at about the 12-yard line and out of bounds. Goes Brandon Tate. A 42-yard punt. 24-3 Bengals. Couple of 3 and outs for the Bengals here in the second half as they take over 1st and 10 from their own 15. They lead it 24-3. 55-yard field goal by Sebastian Janikowski, the only points of the day for the Raiders. In the round of green. Michael Huff made the stop. A.J. Green trying to do something pretty special today. He's already just the 2nd receiver in the last 48 NFL seasons to have a touchdown streak of 9 games or more. Right now he's tied with Lance Allworth, who caught 9 straight for the Chargers back in '63. If he gets one today, that'll tie Steve's favorite player, Elroy Crazy Legs Hirsch, who caught touchdown passes in 10 straight games for the Rams at 51. Of course, the all-time record, Jerry Rice, 12 straight back in '87 for the 49ers. 2nd and 9. From the gun. Dalton, couple of pump fakes, and down he goes. Philip Wheeler powered his way into the backfield for the sack.
Yeah, it comes on a late blitz as Benjarvis Green-Ellis stays in to block. Wheeler blitzes. He's got Green-Ellis in coverage, so when Green-Ellis blocks, Wheeler's free to blitz, and Dalton couldn't get rid of the football in time. Great pressure package by the Raiders to get back there. Brings up a 3rd and very long. One of the few 3rd and more than 3 or 4 that we've seen Cincinnati face the entire game.
Have to get it out past the 25 for a first down, incomplete. And the Bengals continue to sputter on offense here in the second half.
Well, I said earlier in this the second half, that the Bengals had taken a deep breath offensively, and it shows up. That's the difference between playing extremely well in the league and just having a rough time. You see the Bengals come out, hit on all cylinders, and when the pressure's off, they got a 3-touchdown lead. All they do is just kind of stand up and look around, and it's over. They can't get it back, and they look a lot like the Raiders looked in the first half.
With Adams standing at midfield. Raiders again will have great field position. Makes the fair catch at the 48-yard line. Carson Palmer taking the field after the 44-yard punt. A brisk late November day here in Cincinnati as the Raiders take over near midfield. Good field position once again. They trail 24-3. Reese still on his feet, and he chugs his way for a first down to the 40. Marcel Reese.
Well, as he comes in, breaks this tackle, we'll see if he goes down. I don't think so. Looks like a good spot by the official as he cuts it back. And all the teams in the NFL are running this stretch play where the running back takes off parallel to the line of scrimmage and then picks his spot. The Raiders ran it really well on that play.
That was good for 12 yards. This will before the snap.
Ball start, number 69 offense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Khalif Barnes called for the infraction tomorrow. When two broke girls get a business opportunity, they'll do anything to make it happen. Catch a new episode. Two broke girls tomorrow, only CBS. Only second penalty for the Raiders. 2 as well for Cincinnati.
55!
They move it back 5, first and 15. Reese alone in the backfield. They give it to him. Gets to the outside. Another nice run by the third-year man out of Washington. Chris Crocker made the tackle after a gain of 15.
Yeah, it came out of his shoe at the end of that. Ray Maualuga takes a little bit of a poor angle. And right here, those linebackers, Maualuga goes behind the block instead of down the line of scrimmage. Great job outside by Kreiner, pushing Adam Jones off the ball, keeping him at bay, pushing him down and allowing an extra 5 or 6 yards of yardage to be picked up.
Jeremy Stewart has checked in as the tailback, and they give it to Stewart, trying to right side. Some nice blocking up front for the Raiders, and another nice pickup. Vontez Burfict made the stop.
Now it looks like the Cincinnati Bengal defense is taking a deep breath. And the Raiders continuing to press on, getting deeper into Cincinnati territory than they've been all day.
Usually the best drive of the day for the Oakland Raiders. 48 yards on the ground in this half. Bengals have struggled on offense here in the third quarter. Second and 2. We run it again. Reese. Close to the marker. Should be enough for the first down.
And not too much has changed up front. It's not like the Bengals are playing a different defense or the Raiders have somehow revamped their run blocking schemes. I think what's happening is the Bengals, much like their offense did, they feel like they've got this game in hand. They want to get out of here healthy. They've taken a deep breath. They got a 3-touchdown lead, and they're just not pushing with the emotional content that they did in the first half. And that's all it takes in the NFL, as you can see. The Raiders are not a different team. They're just getting different results.
First down from the 20 of the Bengals. They come on the blitz. Over to the end zone. And that is caught. Denarius Moore with a 20-yard touchdown reception.
And Carson Palmer throws up a beautiful little rainbow right into the back of the end zone, throws it extremely early, throws a lot of arc on it, kind of falling backwards off 2 feet, jumps and tosses it. You can see that Moore had to really step on the gas to get there right on his fingertips. You see as he's breaking, he was breaking across the goalpost. Palmer threw it right down the middle. He had to adjust.
And he got away from Leon Hall, so Janikowski on to make it a 14-point game. And it's good, so with 2:21 left to go in the third. The gap has narrowed. 24-10 Cincinnati, and while we've got a moment, let's check in once again with JB and Shannon in New York for an update.
Turnovers hurt.
Yes, the fourth one of the day committed by the Steelers lead to this. A 15-yard TD run. Trent Richardson. They're on top, 2014 over the Steelers.
Back to Bill and Steve.
Well, that's a game that a lot of these Cincinnati fans are watching very intently. The Bengals trying to walk down the Steelers in the standings and getting a little help from the Cleveland Browns and the Steelers with their turnovers.
Bengals came in, as you saw the graphic, one game behind the Steelers in the race for a wild card spot. They'll play Pittsburgh in Week 16 before finishing up the regular season here at home against the Ravens.
And one thing about this Bengals team, in years past under Marvin Lewis, they played pretty well against the teams they're supposed to beat. They've kind of split with teams that are even with them in the standings, but they have not played well in teams that were favored against them. And that's something I think they've got to get over if they're going to make any headway in the playoffs. Certainly, they've got to beat teams that people don't think they can beat.
Sails out of the end zone. Let's take another look at the touchdown.
And right before the snap on this last touchdown, you'll see here, these guys get a little bit confused as to what's happening, who's going to line up. They don't get lined up. Moore comes off the ball. He's single covered with all that space to work. He gives a nice double move to the post, and with all that space, no safety help, the Bengals got caught flat-footed, and Carson Palmer made him pay for it.
Sixth touchdown catch of the season for Moore. Bengals, 1st and 10. Then Jarvis Green Ellis tries the right side. Good for a yard.
Yeah, now the Raiders, with a little bit of life, down 14 points instead of 21, and a lot of time left in this game. And believe me, the Raiders know this, and I think the Bengals kind of feel it as well. Once a team has turned it off like the Bengals seem to have done here in the third quarter, it's really difficult to turn it back on.
Bengals haven't gotten past their own 22 here in the second half. 2nd and 9. Dalton goes short. Orson Charles, the tight end. Dropped immediately around the 25 by Rolando McClain, a gain of 4.
And in situations like this, it's all about the players on the field for the Bengals having leadership. Andy Dalton, A.J. Green, Whitworth, left tackle, the offensive line, somebody defensively like Maualuga. They've got to step up and not let this game get out of hand and let the Raiders back in it. The Bengals leadership, those players got to step up.
Cincinnati trying to avoid another 3 and out here in the second half. 3rd and 5. Garden, and he's sacked. Matt Shaughnessy with 3.5 sacks on the season now. And again, the Bengals are going to have to punt.
Well, the pressure's going to come from way outside. You see on the right side of the defense, Shaughnessy just comes in way outside the left tackle. And the Bengals have to spread out to get there, and they just can't.
From the 38, Adams will string it out, and he goes out of bounds. Well, a big one coming up Saturday. BCS title shot is on the line when A.J. McCarron and the Crimson Tide roll against Aaron Murray and the Bulldogs of Georgia in the SEC Championship. It all begins with CBS College Football Championship Saturday and College Football Today. That's next weekend here on CBS.
The winner gets a shot at Notre Dame. Both those clubs coming in. Man, what a game that's going to be.
It's going to be exciting.
Wow, what color.
Georgia and Alabama for a spot in the national championship game. Raiders keep it on the ground. Good penetration, but unable to stop Stewart, who gets to the outside and into Cincinnati territory. Geno Atkins is the one who had the penetration. Atkins continuing to play at a high level.
Stewart gets up holding his back, hurt a little bit. Now he's trying to skip it off as the third quarter comes to an end. The Raiders once again with outstanding field position.
24-10 Cincinnati will return to Paul Brown Stadium after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS, home of Super Bowl 47. A lethargic third quarter for the Cincinnati offense. So the Raiders will start the final quarter of regulation at midfield. Down by 2 touchdowns. Palmer will throw. Ball is loose. And the Bengals have it.
Well, it was a good third quarter while it lasted for the Raiders, but with the opening play of the fourth, the Bengals bring pressure once again, and Manny Lawson gets a shot on Carson Palmer, swipes the ball away, and it comes right into the hands of Ray Maualuga. Exactly the kind of play that we were speaking about when you need a leadership When you need a leader on your team to step up and make a play, it can come from anybody. Manny Lawson with the big swipe leads to the first positive play for the Bengals the entire second half.
And Maluga was locked up with Marcel Reese, so he was right there when the ball came out. And Jarvis Green-Ellis on first down, close to the 40, a gain of 6. So a big turnover for the Cincinnati Bengals.
You know, it's interesting you talk about the Bengals. It's a team for over the decades have never, well, not in the last 30 years, have put together back-to-back winning seasons. They don't finish very well, and today was a really good example of that in the third quarter.
Green-Ellis again from Jarvis Green-Ellis. And they're going to spot him just short of the goal line. A gain of 39 yards. This is from a guy who had not had a run of 25 yards or more since 2010. He's got 2 today.
And the exact same guy, Giordano, is chasing him down to the opposite corner of that same end zone. Earlier in the game, Jarvis Green-Ellis was called for a touchdown. It was negated, and now they're calling him down just short of the goal line, and this looks like that could be very close to a touchdown, and maybe Marvin Lewis will challenge it, and he does. He thinks that's a touchdown. That'll be eerily similar to the play that was the touchdown that was taken away early in the first half. We'll see if they get one back here.
The play was out of bounds prior to getting to the goal line.
See if his knee was down prior to the ball crossing the plane of the end zone. They'll take a look upstairs. Timeout on the field here in Cincinnati. Here's what they're looking at upstairs.
Now the knee is down as you pull back in this picture. There's the line that he is short of. Now the official, it's interesting, the official right on it. And I think he got the spot exactly right.
The ruling on the field is confirmed. The runner's knee was down prior to the ball breaking the plane of the end zone. Cincinnati will be charged with a timeout, and also that's their first challenge.
Short of the goal line, but back-to-back 100-yard rushing games for Jarvis Green-Ellis. This gives him 15 carries for 126. It's been a brilliant day for the law firm.
And it's been a brilliant way for the Bengals to respond after what was a lackluster third quarter, to say the least. They have come back extremely strong in the first minute of the fourth.
Give him a chance to punch it into the end zone. Not yet. Step just short. And Ellis, of course, taking over for Cedric Benson, who gave the Bengals 3 1,000-yard seasons before moving on to Green Bay.
Great penetration by the Raiders, getting back there to the goal line stand.
Second and goal. Looking for points here early in the fourth. Green-Ellis again. Again the Raiders with outstanding penetration. And he'll be pushed back for a loss.
Well, they got a touchdown on a dive play in the first half when Jarvis Green-Ellis was held out of the end zone on that run. And now they try and do it 2 straight times, and the Raiders are giving them no chance.
Now remember, I'm sorry to interrupt, Steve, but A.J. Green, remember, is trying to catch a touchdown pass for a 10th consecutive game. So will they look for him here?
I think you do. I think that's always the key. But you've got a couple of guys you can go to. Sanu, A.J. Green. This is where I look right here, but I would move Dalton around in the pocket. Don't hold him static.
And they run the slant to the other side of the field. That's Malcolm Jones. And a nice defensive play from Bartell.
And they're going to bring Nugent out for the field goal attempt. Great stand by the Raiders. Jones on the quick slant. Great throw by Dalton. A little wobbly and a little behind, but you'd like to see him pull that in.
Marvin Jones just coming back from a knee injury, so we'll see the field goal unit. Nugent only has one of 55 yards today. And that extends the Cincinnati lead. 27-10 Bengals. And we're back at Paul Brown Stadium. Tough day for the Raiders fans who are here. The Bengals won 3 of their first 4, then struggled with that 4-game losing streak. But they think they turned the corner with that win over the Giants a couple of weeks ago. Today, seemingly on their way to their 3rd straight win as they work their way through a very favorable part of the schedule. Francis is back deep. And he retreats and will take a knee. They'll bring it out to the 20. Tonight on 60 Minutes, Laura Logan travels to Africa with legendary filmmakers to show you big cats like you've never seen them before. That's 60 Minutes tonight, only CBS. And again, the warm welcome for Carson Palmer. Coming back for the first time to the city where he led this team for 7 seasons. 27-10 Bengals. 12.5 minutes left to go in the 4th. Reese cuts it back. And across the 25, close to the 28-yard line, a gain of 8. Pat Sims made the stop.
Well, you look at some of the things that Palmer went through here in Cincinnati. Fewest passing yards. Now these are obviously when he was playing for the Bengals, but 93 yards all the way back in 05. All three of those 5 were against Cleveland. He might wake up nights thinking about the Browns.
14 of 24 for 108 yards. Touchdown and an interception. Again, the Raiders will run it. Reese. Palmer tried to throw a block. Reese keeps his feet. Finally out of bounds. Terrific individual effort from Marcel Reese.
Carson Palmer trying to give him a little help and does actually keep the pursuit from pulling him down from behind. Watches Palmer, hands it back off to him, then ends up out in front. Comes back and throws a block right there on Michael Johnson.
So 1st and 10. So Raiders able to move the chains from their own 34. Stewart wrapped up after a gain of 1 by Malaluga. Malaluga, the quarterback of this Bengals defense, came in leading the Bengals in tackles. He's really stepped up and become a leader on the Cincinnati defense. Fontez Burfict was that free agent rookie, thought to be potential #1 draft pick, but had a terrible season at Arizona State, so signed as a free agent. He said he admired Ray Malaluga. Can't believe that he's getting a chance to play beside him. 2nd and 9 for Oakland. Palmer to Stewart. Stewart with a big gain into Cincinnati territory and wrestled out of bounds at about the 40 by Chris Crocker.
And for the first time, the Raiders pull off their own big play as Carson Palmer steps up into the pocket, finds Stewart very late. He's looking to his right, then comes back late to his left. Stewart makes one player miss. Reggie Nelson misses that tackle, and then it's off to the races. Great job by Palmer. Looking right, and then throwing late to his left. Gives Stewart enough room to make the big play.
They spot it inside the 40 at the 39. Just over 10 minutes remaining in the 4th. Palmer trying to set up the screen to Reese. With running room and another 1st down for Oakland. Malaluga finally made the stop.
Yeah, and that was well timed by, and there's a late penalty coming back now. I love this play call because just when you've kind of hit the Bengals defense in the mouth.
Flipping, number 65. 15-yard penalty, repeat 1st down.
Mike Brizell.
I don't know if they thought they saw something or whether they did. Brizell, I think they thought he blocked Malaluga in the back. I don't know that he made contact. Right here, watches. He's going to end up against Malaluga right there, and we'll see if he blocks him in the back or if he just falls down. He just falls down. That's a bad call by the officials. And That's the one thing that makes coaching staff really mad. It's one thing to miss a penalty, but don't call a penalty that doesn't happen.
So back near midfield, short drop for Palmer. They're on the slant, incomplete.
Yeah, that was a horrific penalty call on Brizell that puts the Raiders back in a second and very long.
The rookie Kreiner was the intended receiver.
It's a great break by Newman on the ball. Gets there almost simultaneously with the pass, and that's a good no call. You're not going to get that one. But that clipping call and play ago has really killed this drive by the Raiders. It's a penalty call that they didn't deserve.
2nd and 20. Palmer trying to run the screen, and that time it goes nowhere. Geno Atkins right on the spot, continuing to play at a high level.
Well, fool me once, shame on me, and the Raiders are going to try and fool them again. And they're not going for it. They just went to the same screen pass to the other side of the field, and the Bengals don't go for it. Geno Atkins, who, as you said, is playing at a high level, leads that defensive front four. They are gifted, talented, and they are highly motivated.
Timeout on the field called by the Raiders. Back at Paul Brown Stadium, 3rd and 24 for Oakland. Hurt by a questionable penalty. They were on the move. Now facing 3rd and long. Palmer has to run for his life. Finally gets rid of it, incomplete, and really threw it away.
And that's been the difference, and we said it early on in the game, actually in the open, when the Bengals can get pressure with just 4 rushers, they're really tough to beat. Those outside rushers come right away. Carson Palmer can't even gather himself to make a throw. That play was beaten before the start of it by those 4 rushers up front for the Bengals.
Leckler, line drive. Tate. And not much doing on the return. Tywan Jones was down the field in a hurry. 6-yard return, a 42-yard punt. Let's take a look at the kind of day it's been for Jarvis Green Ellis. A big play early, and then the touchdown run. Had another one, and again, not known as a home run hitter. The guy who can give you some tough yards on a steady basis, but today he's had some big plays. 17 carries, 125 yards for Jarvis Green Ellis. And he gets it again, reverses his field, and cuts it back to the 20.
As we've talked about all game, you get a guy like Jarvis Green Ellis in complement to this roster with 7 wide receivers on the 53-man roster. They can throw it around. They've got lots of options if they want to air it out. Whatever Green Ellis can give them is going to be gravy, and it's also going to make an enormous difference in the big play category because defenses will have to play honest with all those playmakers on the outside for the Bengals.
2nd and 6. Nice job coming up by Michael Huff. And Philip Wheeler made the stop.
Think about it, you see that guy, A.J. Green, who we spoke about earlier as well. He's got a streak of 9 games in a row with a touchdown. Has not been looked at too much today. Has not had very many opportunities. And believe me, the Raiders know where he is at all times. They are doing everything they can to keep him off the scoreboard.
2 catches, 63 yards. Had the one big play. It's been a fairly quiet day for A.J. Green. 3rd and 6 with Dalton and the Bengals. And let's see if they rule out a fumble. Raiders try to bat it back inbounds.
They did a nice job of it.
They will sort this out.
this.
Sanu was the intended receiver.
There's a lot going on here. I mean, Sanu, did he have control and fumble it? And if he did, the Raiders say they batted it back in bounds. Then they got an early whistle from the officials who called it quits. Now, does Sanu have complete control of this? 2 hands on the ball, no feet down yet, ball's tucked away, both feet on the ground, and then the ball's punched out. To me, that's a catch fumble, no question about it. Hansen knocks it loose right here after he's got both feet on the ground. That's a fumble. Now watch as the ball bounces toward the sideline. The defender comes in and bats it back in. But the whistle comes early. The Raiders picked it up and went, but listen to the whistle. That's an early whistle because the ball was not out of bounds when the defender batted it. Unless that ball was on the sideline here, perhaps it was, but as this ball bounces out, does it get out of bounds? No! That's the early whistle that you saw. That should be a touchdown, Oakland, and they're not going to get it. In fact, they may not get possession. 2 huge misses by the officiating crew have cost the Raiders big time. A clip on a screen pass, and then this play that really should have ended in an Oakland touchdown.
Tyvon Branch is the man who scooped it up and ran it in after the whistle.
What an enormous heads-up play by Hansen to keep that ball in bounds.
First to strip it away, and then the heady play right there, knocking it back in bounds.
Unbelievable heads-up play by Hansen, and you can see the sidelines are all over it. They know they've got the ball coming. It all comes down to, did Sanu have possession? And I think he did. I think the officials messed this up 6 ways from Sunday.
And you can take a lot of things back, but you can't take back the whistle.
That's right. You can't make everything right, even with replay.
The ruling on the field was that Cincinnati completed a pass. The ball became loose. While the ball was loose, there was an inadvertent whistle. Therefore, Cincinnati has the option of taking the ball where the ball became loose or replaying the down. They have chosen to replay the down, so we will replay their down.
An inadvertent whistle completely crushes the Raiders on that play. And believe me, I'll hand it to Alberto Riveron for admitting an inadvertent whistle. Yeah, and that's the inadvertent whistle, and that is a game changer for the Bengals, a game saver for the Bengals, and a game changer for the Raiders. And I'll tell you, you would think that there would be an obvious possession, and there was an obvious recovery by the Raiders, and I don't know why that doesn't go past the whistle. But it doesn't. Because of the inadvertent whistle, everything goes dead at that point because there was no possession.
So not only is it not a turnover and not a touchdown, but the Bengals keep the football.
And you can't overstate how bad that is. And there's no question. And the officials knew it. It was an inadvertent whistle. A tremendous play by Joselio Hansen to knock the ball loose, keep it in bounds, give his team a chance. They scoop it up, run to the end zone only to be called back, and it's still Bengals ball, and replay the down that the Raiders have stopped already. And you see, and you know, we started this season with replacement officials across the NFL, and there's no question we're all happy to have them back. And this is one of the most difficult sports to officiate, but Dennis Allen has to stand there, and if you're on that sideline, and you're outraged.
It was almost like they had anticipated that it would go out of bounds and blew the whistle despite what was happening on the field.
Well, right now the officials are saying, is there any way we can get this right with what the rules say and what we're able to do? And they can, because Oakland deserves the football. Actually, Oakland deserves a touchdown. They're not going to get that, and now they can't even get possession of the football, and there's nothing the officials within the rules can do to help them or to make it right, in other words. It's a bad situation. The officials now are bound by the rules because of the inadvertent whistle.
And this will be one of those we're sorry situations, but nevertheless, 3rd and 6. The Bengals keep the football and a 27-10 lead.
The Raiders can't take their foot off the gas. They can't get discouraged by that bad break. They got to stay in this defensively.
And we've got a flag before the snap. And now this is getting ugly.
Now you got frustration, and that's what happens when
started with Andrew Whitworth and Lamar Houston because of a questionable late hit on Andy Dalton.
And I'll tell you what, you do not want to be at the bottom of that. Now they're trying to get cooler heads to prevail, and the officials can do whatever they want, but now you got Dennis Allen out there. The head coach is on the field trying to help. And there's some guy, Tommy Kelly there with his helmet off. And the officials can do what they want, but it really takes players to pull those things apart. The officials can't get that done. You've got to let the cooler heads of the players pull those guys apart. Well, here's what happened at the end of it. The whistles are blown. It was a late whistle before the snap, and Lamar Houston takes him down. That wasn't flagrant. But Andrew Whitworth, who's on the left tackle, didn't like it, and he comes over and gets after him. And that's where it goes south very quickly. And the league will be dissecting every inch of film available to them to start levying fines and suspensions if it's deemed necessary. But this, let's face it, this play was inspired by the play before with the turnover that didn't happen. A 17-point lead by the Bengals, which should have been 10 in a heartbeat, now goes back to 17 with the ball still in the Bengals' hand with a chance to extend that drive, and there's some frustration.
Another conference. Now Riveron has had his hands full. Let's see if they get Shaughnessy for throwing a punch.
Well, I'd be surprised if anybody got ejected, even though there was some offenses going on down there. Well, what happened is, to begin with, Whitworth.
There are 3 fouls on this play. The first foul is a false start by number 71 on the offense. The second foul is a personal foul, unnecessary roughness by number 77 Cincinnati. He has been ejected.
So Andrew Whitworth is out. He'll have to leave the field.
Then there are 2 other fouls. Number 93, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, came off the bench from Oakland. He is ejected. And number 99, personal foul, unnecessary roughness from Oakland. He is also ejected. We will replay 3rd down at the previous spot.
So Lamar Houston and Tommy Kelly are done for the day.
And Lamar Houston was the guy who took Dalton to the ground. Whitworth, he's not helping things right there. I mean, he's not happy. But I don't think he turned around his left tackle. That play on Dalton happened behind him, and he came in late, seeing Dalton on the ground. And that's Whitworth, and he's the guy, kind of the instigator of the whole thing. Cooler heads were going to prevail. Whitworth came from all the way from left tackle over to the right side, thinking his quarterback had been waylaid, and it wasn't. Both those guys have to leave. That's a long walk. The crowd's letting them hear about it.
In the huddle, Cincinnati. 5-yard penalty, third down.
And now the Bengals get caught for 12 guys in the huddle. They get another 5 yards tacked on. This has not been a good stretch for Alberto Riveron and the officiating crew.
So after a 12-minute gap, it's 3rd and 11. Play action. Green. Goodness gracious. What a sequence this has been. Dalton put it between Tyvon Branch and Matt Giordano for 48 yards to Green.
Well, they went a little play action, and sooner or later, A.J. Green, as we said, he's open when he's not open. Right there, he's not open. Giordano and Tyvon Branch are all over him. Dalton does a great job of putting some air under that and dropping it down. A.J. Green pulls it in. Great play from a great receiver.
3 catches for 111 yards. Pierman burst through to the 30.
Yeah, and you can just tell, I mean, that sequence of plays that all went against the Raiders, and unjustly so, has really taken the air out of this defense for the time being. For the first time in the second half, the Bengals are actually across midfield offensively. The Raiders were playing really good defense in this second half, giving their team a chance. And now, because of the mishaps at the other end, they're back in a hole.
Up the middle, Pierman. Burris made the stop. That'll bring up 3rd down. Miles Burris, rookie out of San Diego State. Clock continues to run inside of 6 minutes remaining here in the 4th. 27-10 Cincinnati. It has been an eventful last 15 minutes. Again, nice hole. Pierman with a first down inside the 25 to the 24. Branch made the stop. Gain of 6.
And the Raiders will take a timeout, as it's slowly becoming desperation time for Oakland. And this is, and it's tough to take. That's tough to take for the guys in the silver and black to look up at that scoreboard and realize they had a touchdown that didn't count on a turnover, which should have cut the lead to 10. Then they get the big play after a scuffle. They lose 2 of their best defensive players in that scuffle. And now they get nicked by the big play, and the momentum is all against them when it shouldn't have been.
The reality is that the Bengals have it. 1st and 10 at the Raider 24 with a 27-10 lead. Pierman inside the 15. McLean made the stop along with Giordano. Bengals are on the move.
Once again, Pierman coming off in compliment to Benjarvis Green Ellis. A little bit faster, does a nice job there going down, making sure he stays in bounds. The clock is the friend of the Bengals right now. They're up 2 scores, and they'd love to score a touchdown here with 0 time on the clock if they can manage it. But with 4:45 and counting, time's running out for the Raiders.
17-point lead for Cincinnati. Pierman from the I formation. Spins his way down to the 11-yard line. Michael Huff made the tackle.
Yeah, you really got to tip your hat to the Raiders. They looked awful in the first half, and the Bengals were in complete control. But as soon as the Bengals kind of stood up and didn't come out with the same intensity, the Raiders came out and played extremely well in that 3rd quarter and dominated. They turned it into 10 points, climbed back, and gave themselves a chance in this game, have held Cincinnati just one field goal in the second half. And really for a team that's 3-7 to come out and put that kind of effort forward in a game that looked lost early on, you really got to tip your hat to Dennis Allen.
Christo Billacchini getting some time in that interior defensive line. Well, they wanted to get A.J. Green the record. Miscommunication. He was locked up with Ron Bartell, the cornerback.
Bartell, who A.J. Green missed it. I mean, there was a call there that A.J. Green, you see there, he didn't hear that. And that's a wasted play for the Bengals and what could have been a pretty good opportunity. If A.J. Green would have been trying to get to that fade, he would have been out there.
Let's see if they give him another opportunity. Trying to make a little bit of history. Keep it on the ground. Pierman delays and then shoots through. And down to about the 7. Giordano made the stop. Gain of 4.
Raiders take another timeout. .46 left to go here in the fourth. 27-10. The Bengals are threatening once again.
Bengals facing a third down. It has been quite a good day running the football. Their best in almost a decade. 224 yards rushing today for Cincinnati. They can still get a first down. They get it down to the 1. 3rd and 6. Well, they look for A.J. Green here. Gresham, touchdown. He strolls in. Jermaine Gresham.
Well, you get a tight end at 6'4", 260 like Gresham, who's a real athlete. Put him against a 5'11" safety. Get a one-on-one, and that's, if you can get him the football, it's going to be a tough defense. Right there coming across. Stiff arm, and Giordano just can't get inside that stiff arm that Gresham.
4th touchdown catch of the season for the 3rd-year man, former first-round pick out of Oklahoma. And that will do it. 34-10 with 3:39 left to go.
Gresham in the Pro Bowl last year at tight end, going to come across, catch this ball, and then throw that big stiff arm. You're 6'4" with a big wingspan like Gresham. It's hard to get inside that arm. He extends that arm. You got to have a pretty good reach to even touch him.
Eleven plays on the drive.
And that it sputtered at the beginning with the...
Sputtered would be a word.
Yeah. Really, the difference was the long play to A.J. Green that got them out of their own end. But if you look now at what this means, if with Pittsburgh losing, perhaps going to 6-5, trailing Cleveland, Pittsburgh could fall to the exact same record as Cincinnati. Cincinnati hangs on to win here. So best case scenario for the Bengals as they start to close the gap on those two teams up above them. Indianapolis playing Buffalo at home.
Nugent on to kick it away. Francis. Brought down as he crosses the 15, close to the 18-yard line. Coming up on the Subway postgame show, join JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Cowher for all the latest NFL scores and highlights. It's all coming up on the Subway postgame show. There you go. No hard feelings.
Yeah.
It's been a tough return here for Carson Palmer.
It was interesting to talk to him yesterday. He acknowledged there'd be some emotion today, but he never, and you could believe him when he said it, never had any animosity toward the Bengals or the fans, obviously.
And then the delay to Reese. Reese 14 carries for 75 yards.
You look at this Bengals team, and although this game looks now the score with a 24-point difference, it wasn't quite that much as the game played out, although it's going to end up that much. This is the Bengals team, as you see the completion of Myers, that is really playing well on both sides of the football, getting it done just the way they want to. They've got playmakers outside offensively. Defensively, they're keyed by that front four and Geno Atkins and Domata Peko, along with some help from Manny Lawson and Michael Johnson. Robert gathers. They've got a great defensive line rotation that gets a lot of pressure. And with Gresham, A.J. Green, and now Mohamed Sanu added to the mix, along with Dawkins, who's not in, who's hurt at the moment. They've got a lot of playmakers offensively and a really stout defense.
Palmer will throw to Reese, and that'll be a first down. Marcel Reese. Clock will stop at 2:14.
And you look here at the Bengals' upcoming schedule. San Diego, Dallas, Philadelphia, all three with losing records. And then when you get to those last two games at Pittsburgh, that's the big one. And of course, Baltimore here in Cincinnati. Three of those five on the road and two here. But those last two games against Pittsburgh and Baltimore, just the way you kind of want to end up this season. The Bengals are going to be in a much different position when that game rolls around.
Palmer, incomplete. Had to try to check it off to Reese, and that was at the feet of Marcel Reese. Incomplete. Well, since last year, 0-6 against Baltimore and Pittsburgh. Against all others, 14-6.
Now, they've had their share of success under Marvin Lewis against those teams, but not so since last year in the first half of this year.
Keep it on the ground. Reese. And that will take us to the 2-minute warning. Bengals with things in hand here in Cincinnati, 34-10. Andy Dalton has had a lot to smile about the final 2 minutes here in Cincinnati. The Bengals lead at 34-10. 3rd and 10 for the Raiders. Carson Palmer, incomplete. Threw it behind Marcel Reese, and things just not getting any better for Carson Palmer.
Well, it started out hard as he took a shot early on in the first series, and then another one in the first half. This one was also the pick in the first half that ended up off the deflection. Sack strip by Manny Lawson. Ended up in a turnover as well. Been a rough homecoming, or at least a rough return trip to Cincinnati for Carson Palmer.
The Raiders will go for it on 4th down. Palmer. That would have been short anyway. Brandon Myers, the intended receiver. 1:48 left to go in the 4th. And coming up on the Subway post-game show, join JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Cower for all the latest on the action here in Week 12. That's all coming up on the Subway post-game show. The score stands. The Raiders will have given up 169 points in the last 4 games. Just over 42 points a game.
And the explosive plays are still what's nagging the Raiders. They'll play pretty good defense for 3 or 4 or 5 downs in a row, and then there's a mistake, an assignment error that gives up a long play that they just can't overcome. And that's been the story today for the Bengals, as they've taken advantage of that with long plays both in the run game and the passing game, and the Raiders couldn't answer.
Bengals will get back above 500. Record will go to 6-5. And again, just letting the clock run out. 34-10. As of this moment, Steelers trail. Look at the wild card situation.
Cincinnati in the winning column after today. No question, though, those teams at the top of the divisions are in control. And the Pittsburghs and Cincinnatis and the rest are chasing for those last 2 wild card spots. That'll be it.
Carson Palmer and Andy Dalton never met prior to today. Solid day for Andy Dalton. Solid day for the Bengals, despite a couple of controversial calls. So for Steve Tasker, Bill McAtee saying so long from Cincinnati. The Bengals have won it. Coming up, it's the Subway postgame show. We'll take you to New York for all the scores and highlights. After this, you're watching the NFL on CBS.